Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour Live. And we're not big to talk up shows, but when we do, they're usually belters. And I'll tell you, today's is going to be an absolute cracker. Before we get into it, thanks again for your help with and support with the show. YouTube.com/Detour podcast. Like, share, subscribe, spread the word. And iffy, there's no point mucking around because we don't know if the Wi-Fi is going to hang on. So let's go straight live to the EF bus, and that is with Jens Keukeleire, the lead out extraordinaire. Jens, can you hear us? Oh, can you hear us, Jens? Oh, it looks like the Wi-Fi is a bit dodgy. They are in the middle of nowhere, and we just off air saw Magnus Cort.
Just quickly talking to them. It was sensational. Yeah.
Well, we've got a good shot of Jens's face. Well, what we can do, Iffy, is we've got the Detour DeLorean. We can actually show a clip whilst we're waiting for the Wi-Fi to pick up, and we've just lost Jens. Yep. But I'll roll this thing.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
And as we said, it was a magnificent victory to Magnus Cort. It was his second of the Tour of Spain, and it's his fifth Grand Tour stage win. He's now got the record for the most of any rider from Denmark. And it takes me back, Johnny, to 2016, Tour of Spain, when he was riding for Orica Bike Exchange at the time. And it was stage 18. This was going back to his first. Here's a bit of a highlights, and Jens obviously was part of that lead-out train, and there was quite a funny sign-off.
Oh, don't tell me. Bloody hell, we just won. Where is your heads up on that?
Magnus! Congratulations! Good job.
Magnus, you're a sex symbol.
You got that power, you know?
You just need a confidence, eh?
Yeah.
The Spartan.
And the Spartan for sex symbol for sure. Big head now, for sure.
So that's a wrap of stage 18. Hope I'm right now. Congratulations, Magnus.
Thank you.
Awesome win today. You've worked really hard for the team today, and then to finish it off, just saw the sprint again, and it was pretty amazing. And what a way to celebrate it with good champagne and a little jacuzzi on top of our room. Any words?
Yeah, I think I learned from the best, Jens. You did an amazing job winning early on this race, and yeah, cheers. Thanks for the inspiration.
Does this mean you're going to send out your first tweet now, Maggie?
I might send out a tweet, I'm not sure yet.
And who do you want to thank, mate?
Want to thank my old coaches through all times.
What about your team?
I want to thank my teammates for that.
You want to thank Yatesy?
I want to thank Yatesy for sitting behind me on the wheel real easy all the way until 3Ks to go, so I didn't have to work hard for him today. And that let me do the last couple of Ks myself. Thanks all, Orica.
How random.
Oh, great memories. There it is. That's the boys. We've got Yenzi back. Yenzi, we're just showing some highlights of the 2016 Tour of Spain when Magnus won his first stage. How does it feel now that he's won 5 stages at Grand Tour level? And, mate, they're calling your lead-out one of the greatest lead-outs, not of 2021, one of the greatest lead-outs of all time.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Not sure if that's only you saying it, or if that's actually everybody else saying it, but
well, it's me and John.
I'm agreeing with you, mate. I love the way that you leant back, tap your bum to set Magnus, right? We're about to go. You said, gave him the signal, and you hit him. That was absolutely brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think it worked perfectly in the final. We had a little talk, 10 Ks to go, and I said that I felt pretty confident that I would be able to go from a long way. I think the that whole final kilometer was actually perfect to do it like that. So yeah, it was a nice finish yesterday.
Now, we know Magnus, when he gets excited, sometimes the head can start to swell, and he's obviously got huge form at the moment. Have you been able to keep a lid on the performances so far, one stage at a time?
Yeah, he's not too bad. I actually got some nice pictures of him chilling out in the bus. I might send it to you, Jones, so you can share it with the world.
So, mate, the chemistry, how important is really good chemistry, particularly when you're in sprint stages?
Yeah, I think it's super important. You always go a little bit harder or a little bit deeper. If you're working for somebody you get along with really great. And in us, that's the case. I think we know each other, we know each other's capabilities, so we have that trust in knowing what the other one can do. And I think it's always a big benefit going into the race like that.
I was just going to say, Magnus has got a rich vein of amazing form. His win on stage 6, and then the day before, yesterday, the ride he put up was amazing. Where he got caught only in the last 200 metres. So he's got a fantastic form. Sorry, Jens, did you catch that? Just saying what great form Magnus has on this Vuelta.
You hear us, Jenski? Nah, the internet's cut out. I thought it was a good question, John. It was a great point.
I'll start to worry.
I was thinking when he was looking at it, I was saying, that wasn't a curly question. Why can't you answer that?
I see Tommy Scully sitting in the background too. Kiwi.
Yeah.
Stir him up too if we get back. We'll see if he can come back. See if we can get Magnus back on.
No, he'll keep trying the link for sure. But that, as we were saying, there's such good chemistry with those two. And I remember when they were obviously with Green Edge back in the day, and just the camaraderie. But when you get a number of victories like in a race like this, it's just amazing. Like the old analogy, when it rains, it pours, and the flow-on effect of that success, because everyone buys into it. Your instincts are there. Looking at the sprint, you obviously feel for a guy like Michael Matthews. On the flip side, when you have that confidence and you're up and about, there was just that split second where he probably could have got on the back and got nudged. We got Jensi back.
Yeah,
you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Sorry, it's the desert in the middle of Spain. I hope it stays good now.
We appreciate you. Keep trying, mate. That shows a lot of ticker.
Yeah. How hot is it today, mate? Yesterday was only 40 degrees. How hot today?
I think yesterday was probably the warmest day we've had so far. It was super hot. It felt a little bit different than the previous days where we were along the coast. It was a lot more humid there. But definitely yesterday was really warm. Really warm.
If you were saying before, Magnus has obviously got amazing form. Some of the rides so far in this race is incredible. Is he giving you any insight into where has this come from? It's true. The last 3 days, like 3 days ago, early break, yesterday as well, and then they only called him 100 meters from the finish, and then yesterday again. But he did feel a little bit tired yesterday, he said. So. It is. It is. Show it. No, he definitely didn't. But he said in the race that he was a little bit tired. So just on yesterday's stage, and with that lead out, when you looked at the stage finish, did you literally have it planned out? Right, this is the moment I'm going to go, and it literally panned out exactly what you thought.
Not before the stage, but during the stage, we passed the finish line 3 times, and especially the second last time, I had a really good look. To the last, mainly the last 2 kilometers, you had the big roundabout, and I knew that was like the critical point, not to lose any good positions. And I think if you were in good position coming out of that roundabout, you had some good options for the final. And then there was a slide right corner, just over 500 meters to go. and yeah, just everything how it went. The last 10 kilometers leading into that corner, I knew like if I hit it before that corner, I was going to be able to go a long time, and then yeah, it just planned out perfectly. So yeah, the second last time we passed the finish line, I was already thinking on when and where to go.
What sort of effect does these amazing results so far in the Vuelta have on the rest of the group?
It's amazing, especially because like our main goal here was to ride GC with Hugh Carthy, but yeah, it was just he had a hard time the first week and struggling a little bit, so yeah, we couldn't work for that goal anymore. But then having Magnus win the first stage takes a lot of pressure of just the whole team. And then they say it a lot, if you win the first stage early in the Grand Tour, it's sometimes easier to win a second one and a third one after that. So you feel that the pressure is a little bit off. So yeah, it makes a big deal in the atmosphere in the team.
I've got a couple of messages that have come in from cycling commentator extraordinaire Matt Keane. He says, "Is Magnus going to go for green?"
You'll have to repeat that. I didn't hear it.
Matt Keane wants to know, is Magnus going to go for the green jersey now?
Yeah, we're all talking about it except him. So we don't know. It's he is close in there now. It wasn't a plan at the start, and I'm not sure if it is now. But anyway, I think if we just keep going the way we are now, might be something that's an objective in the last week.
Well, we showed some highlights of the 2016 Vuelta before of Maggie's win. That was a year that you had a stage win yourself. Do you see any opportunities for yourself in the coming stages?
Well, I think my biggest opportunity was maybe yesterday. The last week we got a lot of like really hard mountain stages coming up now, and for me this Vuelta has already been a big success. I'm getting back to like a really good form, one of my best forms, and like yesterday when Magnus won, I was almost more happy than if I would have won myself. So for me this Vuelta has already been great so far.
It's a sign of a good team, mate. We've got a couple of fan comments live. Zippy7 says, Jens the bodyguard. You're never going to shake that title, mate. Zippy also says it was a leg slapping performance.
Yeah, I think so.
Stefan wants to know, how happy is Jens to find form after his corona infection, and how hard was it?
Yeah, it's been a long way, longer than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I had it last year in March. And I was really sick. I had a fever for 10 days, and the way back was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I think I couldn't properly train for almost 2 months. But then actually the rest of the season last year went okay. I came back to a really good level, but not as good as before. Like it took a little bit longer than I thought. So yeah, already this year in the Giro, I think I was again at one of my best levels, and to have it again here, it's a really nice feeling.
I was going to ask Jens, will you get a ride in the World Championships in Belgium? You get in the team?
Can you repeat that? I lost you guys just a second.
Will you be riding in the World Championships in Flanders?
Oh, that's I would love to, but that's not an easy team to make. I think on that kind of parcours, you can make two teams, two Belgian teams that will be very strong. I would love to be there. I know I'm on the long list, but yeah, we'll see.
Good luck.
And, mate, as you said earlier, when it rains, it pours. Looking at stage 13, this could be another one for the Danish Bullet. What are your thoughts on today's stage?
I think we'll have a bit of a rest day today. The plan before this Vuelta for Magnus was not to go for the really big bunch sprints, but really target days like yesterday, like actually the last 3 days. I think after these last 3 days, a bit of an easier day will be welcome, more than welcome.
For sure, mate.
I see you've got the Kiwi Tom Scully sitting right behind you. Say hello to Tom for me. Hey,
There
Tommy.
he is. He's got the headphones on, John.
Yeah, I know.
Good man, Tommy.
Well, mate, we really appreciate you coming on the Detour, mate, and giving us access inside the bus. It's fantastic stuff, mate. We really appreciate it. And, geez, we'll be checking again soon, mate, because I don't think this is the last of the victories for you boys. They're definitely up and about.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me here. You can call me any day.
Legend.
I'm more than
Thanks,
happy
mate.
to have a chat.
Get on
Great
you,
stuff,
Jens.
Jens.
Thanks, mate.
You're a legend, mate. Thank you.
Fantastic.
See you, mate. Jens Keukeleire, how good is that, Iffy? Getting those sort of insights driving on the bus. Absolutely fantastic. And as we said, did we mention at the top of the show we're going to be talking to Baden Cooke? We definitely put it in the description because Cookie's obviously had a fantastic run on Aussie Survivor. And when we first had him on, it was before we'd actually seen an episode. So we couldn't really talk about the show because we didn't know what was going to happen. But, mate, I'm addicted. I've been watching every episode, and we're going to get some fantastic insights from Cookie. But before we do go to a bit of a drinks break, talking about the stage as well, we were just talking about Bling earlier, Iffy. And what were your thoughts on the stage for Bike Exchange?
Yeah, look, it's funny. I wrote a story on it today, and I watched the highlights again, and I probably changed it a fraction. It was a very impressive ride by the Bike Exchange team. They worked hard all day to contain the original break, and then that last break that went on that final climb. Just 4 riders, but 4 quality riders, with young Jay Vine, who, gee, what a fantastic ride of his. Last night.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole team, so for 10K to go, even 12K to go, I think Team Bike Exchange were on the front with a little bit of help from UAE, but mainly Team Bike Exchange. And they virtually had caught the break, and then Jay went again, and they didn't catch him till like 400 or 500 meters to go when they finally caught him. So it just meant that they had to use up all their lead out terrain, and it put Magnus in front a fraction earlier than they would have wanted, but he was still in front when it came around about 600 meters to go. As they were catching, right as they caught Jay Vine, is when Jens Keukeleire, he did the little tap on the bum and went bang and went straight by, but he went by so quick that he, with Magnus on his wheel and the Italian, Baggioli, and they just opened that gap. And I reckon Michael hesitated for a split second. I think he didn't know whether to go with him or let Magnus would close it for him. But Magnus had used everything. Magnus was cooked. And so that split second, and so he left that gap about 3 lengths. And even though he closed it by the time he got to the line, he didn't have any break. So he just that was the end of it. Yeah.
All right. Well, as we said earlier, we're going to be chatting with Survivor Australia superstar and green jersey winner from the 2003 Tour de France, Baden Cooke. Before we do, we'll have a quick drinks break with a word from Bike Exchange and the Amy Gillett Foundation. Then we'll be chatting with Cookie.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. but not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Life is like a two-way street. It's about consideration and mutual respect. Roads are much the same. However you get around, walk, ride or drive, if we share our roads, we can all be safer. The Amy Gillett Foundation is Australia's peak cycling safety charity. Our mission is for safe cycling in Australia. Our vision is for 0 cyclist deaths. Over the last year, we've seen an enormous increase in people taking up cycling, whether it be for recreation, with the family, commuting, or even to start your own cycling career. We need to do more to make it safer for every cyclist. 20 cyclists every day are hospitalised, and 1 cyclist is killed every 10 days on Australian roads. So, the next time you jump on your bike or hop in your car, remember to practice the 4 C's. Be courteous, calm, considerate and conscientious. Every cyclist death is preventable, and we all deserve to get home safely. Please donate to help the Amy Gillett Foundation make the roads safer for you and for me.
Thanks again to Bike Exchange, and some great messages there from the Amy Gillett Foundation. And now we're joined by a man who won the 2003 green jersey at the Tour de France. But, geez, I'm looking forward to this chat because I've been obsessed with the Australian version of Survivor, and that is, of course, Baden Cooke. Cookie, thanks for joining the Detour, mate.
Thanks, guys. How are you?
We're good.
Oh, well,
We're
bud. You forgot to add, he also won the Bay Crits, but anyway, it's another story.
Ah, yeah, of course you're going to mention the bloody Bay Classic. Cookie, how is life now that you're a bloody reality TV star?
Oh, it's, things have changed for me a little bit. Obviously, people stopped getting my autograph about 10 years ago in Australia, and they're asking me for autographs again. So that was pretty interesting. Be surprised how many people are just Survivor super fans. They know every book. They know all about the game, and they know a lot more than me in many cases. So yeah, it's changed a bit. Certainly, it's fun watching the show on TV with my children at night. So that's a big highlight for them, and they're stars at their school because they did a pre-story. So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Mate, once you knew that you were going on Survivor, like, how did you prepare for it? Because it's obviously not just a simple game where you go in and survive. It's bloody mental warfare.
Yeah, well, I'm mates with Matt Rogers, who's been on one season and also on the All-Stars season. A god of the game, and so I basically didn't watch too many of the episodes before it, but I got the direct important intel from someone that knows thoroughly what to do, and then I sort of, because I hadn't watched too many of the episodes in the past, I wasn't sort of stuck inside the square of the moves that they made. So it was my strategy was very different to a lot of the other guys, but physically I just basically left it to the last minute and crammed in 3 training sessions a day for about 3 weeks before it. So I wasn't super fit, but the 2 weeks before it we had to go to Queensland for to make sure we're within the Queensland borders, and so I really smashed that training at the last minute.
What was your strategy when you say you had a strategy going into the show? Can you openly mention what that strategy was going to be?
Yeah, well, so my strategy in the beginning was just to lay low and be helpful around the camp and not be seen as sneaky or dodgy, and just sort of cruise around and make friends and just be very low key, and to not be too controversial. And then, because I figured or Matt told me that the sort of the mix up of the alliances sort of changes 3 or 4 times within the show. So the first round, because I was in the brains and I was one of the stronger guys in the brains, it was very unlikely if I didn't act sneaky and I was helping in the challenges and I was, not upsetting anyone, that I just wasn't going to get voted out. I was pretty sure of that. So I just didn't make any alliances in the first round and stayed neutral and friends with everyone, but wasn't seen whispering behind trees and not looking for idols or whatever too much. And then when things started up in about 10 days in, that's when I quickly made some strong alliances and directly made big moves. So I was sort of completely under the radar, and then sort of 3 big moves in a row. I just went bang, 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 and got rid of some really important players.
I never watched the show, I got to tell you, until I heard you were on Survivor. So, well, then I had to watch it, of course. And you say you decided early on to not upset anyone, although I think you might have upset poor old George when you called him delusional.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was very funny.
I couldn't change who I am. Someone was talking absolute rubbish. I felt compelled to call it out, and he was not doing any help around the camp. I blew up my shoulder starting the fire with the hand drill, the wood hand drill, for idols to vote people. And I'd be walking around doing loads and loads of firewood and getting up at night and doing the fire, and he'd pick up a twig and throw it on the fire, and then claim he was a victim because everyone was against him. So I was dead against him at the start, and in the start, no one wanted to ruffle feathers, including myself, but I felt compelled to call him out on it. And but then as it moved on, everyone sort of thought that I was enemy of him, and I sort of pulled him aside, and then had a secret alliance with him for a while, and continued to bag him in front of people, and he bagged me back. And for a while, we had a bit of a secret alliance, but then it became obvious pretty quick.
Was it really hard when you're trying to play a strategy game to not go with your emotions, to try and hold stuff in because you're trying to play a game?
Well, I decided before, I'm fairly opinionated, so I before the show that I wasn't going to talk about politics, religion, or any controversial subjects, or I would have had half of Australia against me straight away. So I left that at home, which was easier than I thought. And when I had people sort of had views in these topics that were against mine, I just left it. And that wasn't too hard because I was basically just focusing on desperately trying to win the challenges with the team. And because our team was the brains team and it was physically weaker than the other team, we were getting pummeled a lot of the time. We're coming very close, but we were winning. We're winning less than we're winning less than we're losing, and that meant that they were getting a lot of the food and the rewards, which made life easier, and we weren't. So they were stronger, but getting more food and more luxury items, and so that was making it very, very hard for us. So when we sort of figured we were close to the merge, the tribe swap, we started popping off our best players to get rid of them pre-merge, and it worked out perfectly. One of our best players on our team, our tribe, was Joey, and we popped him off, and then we merged the next day, and we wouldn't have needed him anyway.
Were you worried because you're in the hands of the editing gods, how they were going to chop up all this footage and control how you're perceived?
I was very, very concerned, and you watch the sort of the tackier reality TV shows. I won't name them, but we sort of all know which they are. And I asked them a lot of questions about how I would be perceived, and and that sort of thing. So they were aware that I didn't want to be the guy. There's always a villain, and they can basically run the villain. So I made sure that I'm a big enough villain anyway. So I amplified on national TV. So I went for the other route to be the good guy, and but I was frightened of the edit, but I think they did a very, very fair edit for everyone, actually.
I was going to say, we see the scenes on TV that they want us to see, like the whole set and the structure. But how different is it in reality when you're actually there, to what we perceive it to be?
It's very, very realistic. It's really legitimate, and they take a lot of time and effort to ensure the integrity of the show, and that it's not a setup of any kind, or they can't sort of help any players. It absolutely was legitimate, and what you see, basically what happened, and when we would talk to Jonathan Lapalia, the only times we ever spoke to him at all was on camera on those challenges. So it's not like we're hanging out afterwards. And when you did the challenge, you're straight back to camp and straight back into. There was absolutely no reprieve from reality.
How tough was the diet? Because you see the people when they go in, and then they're dropping huge amounts of weight, and all you seem to be eating is rice and drinking water and that. How tough was that part of it?
It was very tough, because the first few days we couldn't get a fire going, so didn't have any food at all, really. Raw rice, and unfortunately we weren't allowed to kill any animals, and the little billabong that we were next to was shrinking by about 10 centimeters a day, and the only thing in it was these tiny little fish, which we managed to get hundreds of them, but they were disgusting. And so that it wasn't like when it was in Fiji, where you could grab coconuts and pineapples and you could actually catch proper fish in the sea. It was we had the rations were a couple of bags of the minimum daily allowance that the World Health Organization or someone gives to stay alive.
That's unbelievable.
Amazing.
I purposely put on 5 kilos before I went in. I just gorged myself for about a week, and so I went in 5 kilos heavier than I've ever been, and I managed to just go out at my normal weight.
Yeah, right. Take us through when you thought, oh no, hang on, it's all gone pear-shaped here, and you were voted off, and then you went to Redemption Island. Take us through that period where you thought, oh, hang on, I'm out, and the shock of that, but then you're thinking at one point, hang on, I could be back in.
Well, obviously, you never want to go out. There's $500,000 on the line at the end there, and as hard as it was, I definitely wanted to stay in. I thought, I actually had a suspicion that when they said it was not just 3 voting, but it was 1 voting, I kind of thought that was unfair, because anyone that had a grudge against one person could just vote them out, and it was sort of not in the spirit of the game. So I suspected that there was going to be a twist. However, on the walk down the path out, I was already yelling back at the other guys, I'm going to have a hamburger and a beer tonight, and blah, blah. I was mocking them. And then I'd already fixated my brain on that hamburger and that beer. And then I walk up and see the sign saying, you're not out, you're going to sort of on your own to a desolate place, and you'll be there on your own for a time frame that you don't know. They didn't tell me anything. So So I was sort of like, you're out and you're already thinking about all the pleasures you're going to get back, like food and a shower and a bed, a phone call, and all these things. In that 20 seconds, I was like, oh, at least I'm getting all that back, and then it's taken away again. So it was a bit of it was a bit tough, but obviously you're going to take it every time. And so I was put in this very remote place. It was beautiful, but I had absolutely no idea how long I was going to be there. I didn't know whether they were going to leave me there for a week, and so yeah, at least I was away from all the conniving and lying and all the tactics that were going on. So I got a bit of a break from having to think about that and who I was going to pick up next. But I just had a break from that and sort of cleared my mind and sort of decided, obviously I've got a chance to come back in, and it's probably going to be in the form of one or two players coming out to meet me and then us fighting out to come back in. And I sort of came to the realisation that I was going to come back in with an advantage if I came back in, because I hadn't upset anyone in that time and hadn't done anything wrong. I hadn't showed strength in challenges or anything like that. So the target would not be on my back, because before I got the one vote, I hadn't had one single vote the entire show. So I was getting along well with everyone, and no one except one person wanted to vote me out. So I was not likely to start getting votes piled on me when I went back in. So had I won the one-on-one challenge with Hayley, I think I would have gone quite deep into the challenge, because there was cagier characters than me, and there was stronger guys than me in the challenges. So I was sort of in the sweet spot, which Matt Rogers had told me was the place to be. Don't be the strongest, don't be the weakest, and don't be the most cunning, or don't seem to be the most cunning. So I was actually being cunning by not being cunning.
I like you're talking about that fight, that challenge with Hayley. When you first got up into that position, I thought, oh, you'll bloody win this, no problems at all. You'll be stronger. But then, as I'm watching it, I realised her light weight, she was actually quite comfortable. She was sitting there relaxed, and you were really, your weight and nothing that your bigger feet worked against you.
Oh yeah, those type of challenges historically are always won by women, and I'd blown my shoulder up early on. And hadn't had any treatment for it. I had bursitis and tendonitis in my shoulder. I still, to this day, have having big issues with it, and obviously you don't get any treatment because you're in the middle of nowhere. So my shoulder was cooked. I had 20 kilos on her, and she looked like she was going to stay up there for like.
She did.
And I was in trouble right from the start, and I mean, if my life depended on it, I think I could have done 4 or 5 more minutes, but I think she could have done 4 or 5 more hours, and she could have done 4 or 5 more hours, and she's not letting go. So it was kind of it was as soon as the challenge. If the challenge was 9 other scenarios, I might have won 7 or 8 of them. She was a hell of an athlete, but those ones, the weight bearing ones, weren't going to go my way.
Well, if your shoulder's bung, mate, you might still get that $500,000 in compo. Just get the right people involved, you'll be fine. Now you got voted off, and then you're part of the panel. You were the first person on the panel. Was that experience good, that you could still go up and see the guys at the tribal council? You still sort of felt part of the game, being able to watch it, and when they weren't filming, what was it like? Were you able to just kick back with all the other guys and have a few beers and just talk shop?
Well, I was the first one in there, so when I went into an empty house with stacked to the rafters with food and Tim Tams and every type of food you can imagine. So I just gorged myself, absolutely made myself sick, and then for some reason probably because of all the food in my system, I couldn't sleep a wink the first night. I didn't sleep 1 week, and there was no one else there, and we didn't have any access to the internet or telephones to ensure the integrity of what was going on in the game, and so I was jet lagged that first night, and then when I had to do my exit interviews the next day, I was bloody knackered. So yeah. When once more people came in, because we had in the jury we had no idea what was happening in the show. We weren't privy to what was happening in the challenges or in the camp. The only time we got to see what was going on was when we were sitting on the panel at the tribal council. So that's where we had to try and figure out what was going on. And then when the next person would come out, they would fill us in on what was happening. So it was always each day it was a big catch up on who was doing what, who was pulling whose moves, and who was becoming more of a worthy vote at the end. Because at the end, there's the 9 jury vote out of the last 2 who wins. So you've got to basically stitch people up, lie to them, and bend them over for 47 days, and on the last day, you've got to get them to vote for you.
Do you still keep in touch with the people that you're on the show with today?
Yeah, we've got a WhatsApp group with everyone on it, and people share sort of media that's going out or what's being said. But a lot of a lot of the guys, I learned a long time ago to not look up what the comments and the trolls and whatever are saying, because there's just nothing good to be seen. But and a few of the people on the show have been trolled like disgustingly, like absolutely disgustingly. Like it should be criminal how badly they've been targeted by certain people because they did a move that someone didn't like or they looked a certain way. And I quite miraculously have had absolutely zero trolling. I mean, obviously I don't look, but I think everything I have seen has just been positive and people like the way I played. So I think it was a bit of a risk for me to go on the show in that respect, but I'm really happy with how it came out.
Just the last one for me on Survivor. Looking back now, has this been a bit of a life-changing experience, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's been great. Obviously, it's been great. Like I really enjoyed the time away from my phone and away from everything and all the distractions of life. When I say I enjoyed it, I needed it. But it was very, very hard, and I had to. Like, you'd be surprised how deep I had to dig into my mental toughness, which I hadn't been really using for a while. My mental toughness wasn't, very fit, and I had to really dig back into the strategies I'd use mentally and psychologically to be mentally tough, because I was definitely out of my comfort zone out there, just sort of having no escape, and I really had to fall back on the strategies I used in science.
Oh, you're just cutting out.
Yeah, that was my mum call. She's going to be upset that I didn't tell her I was on this podcast as well. Now.
I'll send Brenda the link so she can watch it afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very, very, very difficult. It was more difficult than I thought, and the show is legit. It's the real deal. I think a lot of people think that it's just, once you're off cam, you get all these luxuries. There's no luxuries. There's absolutely no luxuries, and a few people got really ill on the show and had to leave the show, and there's brown snakes crawling through our camp. The body of water that we were in the challenges in had freshwater crocodiles in it, and that was just bad luck if one bit you. And they just went, oh, they don't really attack humans. I'm like, the crocodile.
No, it's the salties, mate. The salties are the ones. The freshies are fine.
Please, would you go swimming in it?
I have in Darwin before. Yeah, mate. I should go on Survivor. I'm tough.
Yeah,
right.
or one of the challenges we're waiting to go on, and someone's seen a saltwater, a freshwater crocodile. It wasn't very big. Only take your foot off, I guess. But and then a brown snake went into the water.
Oh yeah, brown snakes. Nah,
Yeah.
because that was one of the
Well.
questions from Gary Tilley. He said, they show a lot of shots of snakes, but how many did you actually see? How many do you reckon you saw in your time on the show?
About 10.
Oh yeah, that's enough. That's
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them were non-venomous pythons up there, but I saw two or three brown snakes. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Iffy, I suppose we should talk about the Vuelta at some point.
Pigs and stuff.
Yes.
Horses and stuff as well.
Well, Cookie, you only rode the Vuelta once, because normally the Tour de France was your main objective each year, and so the Vuelta was offered. But you rode it once, pretty early, 2013, I think, was it?
It was my last race.
There you go.
So because I usually came out swinging at the start of the year. I'd go start at the Bay Cribs, go down under, and I'd come out and then go full gas through the classics and try and sort of rack up my wins early. And then I'd sort of have a mini break and then just either do a bit of the Giro or just do a big build up to the Tour. And after I targeted the end of season classics, the 1 days, which were up north in Belgium and northern France, that really stood. And after the Tour, you're absolutely cooked. So I wasn't really keen to do the Vuelta.
So the year you did, we spoke about it briefly before. What are your memories of that? Was it a hot one, or?
It was, in the beginning, it was a hell of a lot easier than the Tour, in that a lot of the stages we did that year were just basically flat to the finish and then a 10K uphill. So for those stages, there's not much I could do other than position our climber at the bottom of the hill. So, and they just ride along quite slowly, and the brake would go out and pretty relaxed. The Tour de France, every stage is absolutely flat that way. And so the first few stages, I was like, oh, this is great, this race. Because the stages were set up to make that year hard, but then we certainly made up for it in the back end of the race when we were racing in snow around Andorra. It was putrid weather, and I got a big crook after one of the absolutely freezing cold, frozen solid, and I got crook that night. Still had a fever, and then the next day it went straight into medium race of Grand Tour. The medium mountain stage came. So many more people in the. They're not climbers. So they just balls out for that race that to make the break that day, and we went straight up at time, and I just went straight at the back with a group of 5 or 10, which we should have been able to ride hard all day. Time gap as pulling out on me, and then I was just riding home. So by the time and obviously you can't stay within the time, go out off the back early if you're riding on your own. So I got to the last feed station very close to time already. Started riding an hour to be out of the race, end of my Vuelta, and it's not a very nice way to end my career.
No, your audio was just cutting a little bit in and out there. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I don't know. It's must be the iPhone or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that was the year that Michael Matthews might have won a stage. He just joined the team. I think he might have won on like stage 5. But have you seen much of this year's Vuelta? And you've actually you've had a lot to do with Bling over the years. What do you think he needs to do to crack through to win this stage?
Today.
Well, today's a flat one, but like it just seems like even yesterday, it might possibly be a bit of a, you know, it's like when you're a sprinter and when things are going well, your instincts are just bang, they're there. Like, do you feel that when things pile up, you sometimes that intuition and that split second move, it's just lacking a bit?
Yeah, he might just. He's a phenomenal athlete, and I just might have to pull a move or something like sort of, you know, try to get the jump on them. It's hard. At these days, it's hard to get the jump on them when the lead. I think the lead are a little bit more unorganised at the Vuelta, so there's always the possible that some team goes a bit early, just do a flyer or something like at 400 to go or something, and do something like that because he can sprint. He's got long distance. He's got a good long range in his sprint. Otherwise, he just needs to wait for a hard day. He's really a really strong rider that can tackle the medium mountains, who can actually sprint more than a sprinter. He's he's super quick, but that's sort of his bonus on being so strong, and he can time trial. You know, he's got it all. He can climb and time trial. He's a complete rider. He's actually not a sprinter. He's a complete rider.
Anything else you want to add, Iffy?
No, Cookie, been sensational to have you on as always, mate. And we'll get you to keep watching the Vuelta and maybe get a couple more comments out of you right in the last couple of days.
We'll do. Sounds good.
And hang in there with the lockdown, Cookie. I can't wait till it ends and we can have a beer and get all the inside goss on what happened behind the scenes on the show, mate.
Have a virtual beer, mate.
Yeah, that's it. I appreciate you being on the show, Cookie. You're a bloody legend, mate.
Thanks a lot. See you guys.
See you, mate.
See you, mate.
Baden Cooke, obviously superstar rider, but he's a reality TV star now. And he did actually, as he said, he played a very good, smart game on Survivor. And the fact that he wasn't that character that you either love or you hate, he just flew under the radar. But it freaked me out knowing someone that was on the show. You know, when you're watching it, and every time you'd see his face, you go, it's Cookie. And then when he was voted off, I mean, I was shattered. Yeah, and then when he was back in, I was, fist pump. It was bloody sensational. But now, Iffy, the silent auction for Miller Resorts. I'll queue up the ad first. So get your script ready, Johnny. And geez, you bloody nailed it last night. So there's no pressure.
Discover a tropical playground of powdered sugar sand, lush jungle, and crystalline waters. The Miller Maldives Luxury Resort reeks of timeless style and endless bliss. Stand by for unexpected treats and indulgence. Delighting and surprising you is their hallmark. The Miller's motto is to exceed your expectations. The sky is the limit.
Great stuff, mate. Obviously, the silent auction, if you're new to the show, is 5 nights on a waterfront villa, dinner and breakfast for 2 adults, 2 children, boat, heliplane, what's the word I'm looking for? Water, helicopter, aeroplane, transfers. They'll get you there. There's about 4 brain parts in that. They'll get you there. They'll look after you, Jason and the team. And all the money that is raised from this silent auction is going directly to the Gillett Foundation. And if you want to get behind Phil Liggett's Peloton, Gillett.co.za/Peloton. That's KARIEGA.co.za/Peloton. And where are we at, Iffy?
And we haven't had another bid today, so it's still at 4,800 Aussie dollars. But and that's very cheap for a $13,500 trip. So, but I'm sure we'll keep pushing it. We'll get it up a bit from that. But at the moment, it's a Gippsland couple who have got the highest bid.
And Jason from Amelia said, seaplanes. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. And then Damien says, nice voiceover, bro. So good on you. Jason also asked, does Blink need to be more focused on specific stages? He seems to have tried on every flat and medium stage.
Oh, look, I think he's been only focusing on the ones he has a chance in. Look, today, a couple of the big sprinters have gone. So I guess he'll just sit in there, and if they're there at the finish, he'll have another go. But there's only another couple of opportunities for him. He needs to get a tough day and get in the break.
Now, we've also got a video from Vaughan McVilly from Apex Custom Cycling Clothing, and that's regards to our Detour design comp. So here's the clip.
Introducing the Detour Kit Design Competition by Apex Custom Clothing Australia. Simply download the templates from our website and then get on your kitspiration. We don't care what you do. You can use crayons or InDesign file. Just get them done and then send it in to us at designit@apexcustomclothing.com.au. You could win a set of kit and entry into the Amy Gillett Grand Fundo.
Thanks for that little clip, Vaughan. And we've
Very
had a couple
good, Vaughan. Very good. Happy birthday, Vaughan.
Yes, happy birthday. He's up and about today. He'll be on the show tomorrow night to give us an update. But he has sent through a few designs, John, and I want your feedback. Here's design number 1. What are your thoughts?
I like it, but it's too dark. Too dark.
All right. Design number 2.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Bit bright.
Yeah.
Design 3. Dark again, but if you didn't worry about the darkness, I think that looks really, really sharp. But we're trying to find that balance between stuff that's really visible. Do you think that there's too much black in there, Johnny?
A little bit dark, although it's got the pink on the shoulders.
The bright pink's good.
And the pink is the colour of the Amy Gillett Foundation.
But it looks classy.
It does. No, but I like that weird one just before that. Yes, the spider web in amongst it. I like it.
And here's the last one. This is just all out. This is as colourful as you can get, Johnny.
Yeah, no, it doesn't grab me quite as much. Yeah.
But keep those entries coming in and go to their website, which is apexcustomaus.com. And it's on the main page there. Get your kits in. Iffy, stage number 13 looks like a flat one, and some great insights from Jens Keukeleire. And he said they're going to have a day off. Who are you tipping for the stage with, mate?
Oh, gee. Look, I'll probably go with Fabio. The Fabio Jacobson. He's the best sprinter here. And I think they'll really set it up for him. So, yeah. I'll go with Fabio. He's already got 2 stages, and it'd be hard to beat. Yep.
Be very surprised if he doesn't get the chocolates, that's for sure. I want to say a massive thanks to Jens Keukeleire, obviously Baden Cooke. Fantastic insights from both of those guys. And as we said at the top of the show, keep supporting us, youtube.com/the Detour podcast. We are on Instagram now at, I think it's the Detour Potty. So we're going to start getting right behind social media, thanks to Katie Brown and all her help from the Amy Gillett Foundation. But we're going to start keeping people up to date with who the guests are and so forth. And hopefully that can build a bit more of a community. And then tomorrow, we said we would talk about it last night, but tomorrow night I think we'll talk about some lockdown tips on how to get yourself through the lockdown, because obviously thoughts to everyone in New South Wales, a lot of people in Victoria are all locked down at the moment, and we want to continue to build a community around the Detour podcast. And we're going to pass on some little tricks, Iffy.
Sounds like a plan. I've had a lot of feedback from our chat with Don Allen last night, and all positive, actually. I do get a lot of feedback regularly, not always positive, but last night, episode was a fantastic look back at the career of one of Australia's great cyclists. So it's received a lot of love.
And Wendy Superfan, I will get back to you because you got on the front foot about getting Steve Fairless on the show. We'll definitely line that up down the track for sure. So thanks for all your support, guys. We'll be back again tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for another episode of The Detour. Till then, take it easy.
This is the winning ride of the Tour de France.